I think Coach Niemot mentioned last week or previous that you had a meeting with the Baltimore City Police Commissioner. Can you just kind of tell me some of the outreach endeavors or efforts that the group has made since we last spoke?
Yes, sir. So the the platform has expanded a little bit more since we last talked. So the initial talks with the local police departments and chiefs, including Annapolis, Bowie, Baltimore City Police Department, and Maryland State Department. We had a follow-up with the commissioner of Baltimore City Police Department, and he provided basically the information that came to after the death of Freddie Gray in a federal consent decree, and the reform issues that they were under. And he wanted to kind of explain the progress that's being made, explain some challenges. And so we provided an audience forum, and the midshipmen diversity team and the Navy Football Players Council for Racial Equality were involved in that piece. So that's on the police reform part of it, but it is expanded far beyond just police reform. That was the hot topic, but now we're expanded to education here on campus at the Naval Academy, and we went out and asked the faculty and staff and developed a group of allies here at the United States Naval Academy, and over 100 faculty and staff members signed on with us to assist and facilitate committees where midshipmen are the lead, but the faculty and staff members are facilitators, consultants, experts in fields, and to help those midshipmen voice their opinions, concerns, and then put those things into action. We've done that in the leadership department. We've done that in the humanities and social sciences, and now we're expanding that to the STEM and STEM field here, where we're looking for diversity and inclusion efforts and initiatives in the STEM field. So those are the two big ones. We also are designing a brigade diversity officer, a midshipman billet that will fall under the brigade commander, and which would be awesome. Have a full-time midshipman in charge of diversity and inclusion efforts here on campus. So that's in the works, and we're assigning company representatives of the 30 companies. Will all have a diversity peer educator in each company that will facilitate diversity and inclusion training, which will be awesome moving forward. And those are all permanent positions.
I think one of the things you had mentioned previously was looking at the curriculum offerings and seeing if there was a way to offer maybe classes of some sort that would be a little more diverse in nature. Any movement on that front?
Yes, huge movements, especially when you talk about humanities and social sciences, history, English, economics, political science. So they develop the division itself, which is headed up by Colonel Smitherman. United States Marine Corps has developed a working group to address the curriculum changes there, or the curriculum progression, I guess, not necessarily changes, but adding to, rearranging a little bit to address some diversity and inclusion issues. And so that working group is ongoing. They're developing those curriculum pieces now, developing initiatives to get to the point where we are more diverse in actual faculty and staff, but also in what they provide midshipmen at all levels, at the freshman level, where it's a core set of classes, what we're addressing there, but also having course offerings for more senior level midshipmen who want to delve a little bit deeper into the history of our country, and then more inclusive, more consolidated history of our country. So yes, there are big efforts going on there. We won't see those this semester, of course, as the semester is already underway. But surely the following semesters and beyond, we'll see major shifts and changes. While some professors have a little bit more autonomy and can address those issues at a class level, an individual class level. But as far as program changes across a division, I think you'll see a lot more changes in the following semester, second semester, and beyond here at the Naval Academy. They're doing the same thing in the leadership department with the lead in the Department of Leadership, Ethics, and Law, as well as the Stockdale Center over in Luce Hall. And they are working on the same things, curriculum as well. They presented a working group to us, and we meet on Fridays, and we're making huge strides over there too. So we're very happy what the way things are going here. Midshipmen are leading from the front, but they have faculty and staff members in support of.
That about covers it for me. Thanks, RB. Always good to see you. You're looking sharp, brother.
Thanks, Wags. I appreciate it.
John Schofield.
Hey, RB. So can you walk me through just a little bit more detail, and truth be told, with Wags on here, we're just looking for a soundbite to throw on the podcast with Strass's permission, but can you walk me through your role as the Director of Racial Equality, what that means in terms of from the tactical level up to the strategic level? How are you getting the team registered to vote, and what are your goals, short-term and long-term, for this position?
Yes. So let me kind of take it back, give a little bit of history, and then I can bring it to you. All right. So immediately after the death of George Floyd, okay, so Coach Nearmont wanted to do something beyond social media postings and marches and things of that nature. He wanted some actionable steps to get going. He part of it was him going to his peers at the collegiate level and talking to those guys about what can we do together and to move this forward, to move this needle a little bit forward. But what he could control specifically and move right now was his own team and move that forward. So we talked to the athletic director here, and he okayed it, and he assigned me as the Director for Racial Equality, and immediately wanted to get going to develop the council. And once the council was developed, we wanted actionable steps led by midshipmen, develop a platform, and he wanted immediate action. So that's what we did, and signed 9 midshipmen, all football players initially, 3 from each class. He wanted an Anglo-American, African-American, and an other race from each class. So a total of 9 members. No freshmen, of course. They were in complete summer at the time. And we immediately got going. Develop a platform for police reform, education, voter registration, a NAPS initiative, because you can't really talk minorities here at the Naval Academy if you're not talking the Naval Academy Preparatory School. And so we set about, what we want to do to start that. So we start making called some police chiefs and got going. And so my goal initially was to provide a voice for our student athletes, because if we did not address it, of course the potential for division amongst the team could grow and fester, and we didn't want that to happen. We wanted the brotherhood to stand strong, and I think that our actions here created a stronger bond between the brotherhood, and so we got going. And so football kind of set the foundation for what has now become NAAA's Council for Racial Equality, and so that's headed up by Christine Copper now. But we kind of spearheaded some of those efforts, and now we've grown into all student athletes being a part of what we're doing here. The Midshipman Diversity Council, which is largely minority groups have come together, but largely athletes as well. Now we're all together now working on the same goals. So we had parallel efforts, and so our goal now is to create, there's some equality issues here, but we also have some equity issues here. that we wanted to address and to make those changes so we can see lasting change across the campus. Little did we know how much support of from the faculty and staff that was going to jump on board with us, and now we're over 200 plus members of faculty, staff, midshipmen, who are all working together to create change in every corner of the campus here. And so our immediate goal was to get involved and provide a voice to our student athletes. But now we've grown and elevated our platform into seeing some lasting change and permanent change in curriculum here that addresses the history of our country and what we're teaching, how we're teaching it, the history of race and how it affects all of us. Being able to have those uncomfortable conversations, addressing those uncomfortable issues in a forum, because the midshipmen weren't going to do it anyways, right? They're going to address it somehow in the hall. It was going to come up on a sports team or something, right? And so it was in our best interest to present those conversations in an environment where there were leaders in place, there were facilitators in place, so that we can come out of those conversations, one with some positive movement, at least some common ground understanding of our country, and so we can begin to heal some of that up, right, and then move forward. And that has continued to grow. We're now in the organization phase of organizing those faculty and staff members and midshipmen all together on now what is now 8 committees. And those go into everything from helping Captain Lindsay and the Office of Inclusion, Diversity, and Equality create a strategic plan for the Naval Academy. Right, that's now we're involved in that, and so we're helping her write the strategic plan for that. We're also developing that brigade diversity officer spot, which is a permanent striper billet, which is huge for us as midshipmen, have somebody permanently on the brigade staff, developing a position there as well. And so as we continue to grow, there's going to be a conference. There's going to be a respect day, which means make like a daily stand down so that we can address diversity and inclusion issues at the company level. And then we're creating curriculum that will, in the same spirit as any other annual training that we have here, that will be diversity and inclusion training, hiring practices, all types of things now. So that the platform has grown. We're very happy now with the progress that is being made. The superintendent and the commandant and all have been extremely supportive in what we're trying to do here. And so I have grown from the director of racial equality for the football team until now the lead facilitator for the midshipman diversity team, which is all encompassing of not just the football team, which our members are a part of, but now the greater populace of midshipmen on campus, of which I help facilitate under the guidance of Captain Lindsay, who runs the Office of Diversity and Inclusion. So working with the Stockdale Center now and their initiatives there, and there are another 7 initiatives going on campus, from the Nimitz Library to the Humanities and Social Sciences Department to the Leadership Department. And so we're in every corner of the campus now, and the efforts of the football team was largely a part of spearheading some of those efforts. And so we're extremely proud of what those young people have done. Really proud of what Coach Neil Mazzololo has done, and far as assigning me and then giving me the space and the time to work and address these issues while still allow me to coach full time. And so extremely proud of that.
So you're not just some guy that was coaching on the football team. You have a unique background. You retired as a lieutenant colonel. You led Marines. in some of the most challenging of circumstances. You were a member of the football team, class of '98. What in particular with your background, and it's too easy to say, you're a minority, that you have a very unique leadership skill set honed from years and years in the Marine Corps as an officer. What did your experience in the Marine Corps help bring to this problem-solving effort for you?
I'm glad you said that, and I really do appreciate that background there. The EG in the background looks really good on you, sir. Your Navy brothers, though, are going to give you a hard time.
Hey, we PAOs, we morph our way into anything.
Yes, sir. And so the one thing Marines typically, ask for forgiveness, and we don't ask for permission a whole bunch. And so when I was given the okay to proceed, and then given the okay from the superintendent's office and the JAG to go ahead with our platform, then I just took off from there, and I called as many folks as I could, got as many folks on the phone as I could to help us out here. And there's so much support that is very easy to do. But specifically, like I said, I was a Napster. I went to Naps, right? And I was a recruited athlete here, and I played football here for 4 years. I was here at a time, just like everybody else, that there was some racial bias, right? And so I had to work my way through that. I grew up in Atlanta, which is in some instances the home of civil rights movement. Went to the same high school as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm well versed in the civil rights movement. Grew up in an all African American part of town in Atlanta, where there were doctors and lawyers and dentists and store owners and business owners. And so I come from a very proud heritage of African Americans that are leaders in their community and those types of things. And so I brought all that to the Naval Academy, and then the Naval Academy helped me to develop those leadership skills, how to work with everybody from every creating, and then I took that to the Marine Corps, and the Marine Corps was like, we don't care about any of that stuff. Just do your job. All right. And so largely merit-based in the Marine Corps. And as long as I worked my butt off, now, was there problems and racism? Oh, yeah, it probably was. I don't know, but largely I was very blessed to be a part of some awesome commands where I had awesome COs who just, if you did your job, they reward you for it. And that's all the Marine Corps really cared about. And so I brought all that back here. And so that having gone through it, when I'm talking to midshipmen, I don't care who they are, that time in the Marine Corps is respected. And so, one, people can't pull the wool over my eyes, right? In some cases, both sides, right? No, I can call it on both sides, and hold midshipmen accountable. I too was I'm trying to tell myself here, but I did some things here that I probably shouldn't have, and so I know all the hiding spots, and I knew what we tried to get away with here when I was a mid, and so I could catch guys and make sure they all got on the right track. So my time as a mid here and my time as a Marine offered me a awesome perspective about what you can accomplish in the face of racism, right? And limit the excuses that people make on both sides, and I can go forth without, and I can always blame it on, hey, I'm a Marine, so please forgive me. I maybe shouldn't have done
that. Well, hey, last question from me, RB. This is truly a unique time. The Freddie Gray scenario in Baltimore, the George Floyd tragedy, just the racial unrest. Put yourself in a time machine. You're in high school or probably just about to graduate from high school when the Rodney King riots take place, or when the Rodney King beating took place, and then the subsequent riots, the O.J. Simpson verdict comes down while you're a midshipman. Compare and contrast the environments back from 95 to 98 when you were at the Naval Academy to just the past 3 or 4 years as you transitioned from being a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps to being a full-time assistant coach. What are the dynamics, and has there been growth from 95 to 98 in the wake of certain racial milestones is a terrible word, in light of certain racial incidents to today in terms of racial incidents?
Yeah, I think the Rodney King trial, the O.J. Simpson case, the country still was largely split on issues, right? And we were not in agreement. Black people too happy when O.J. got acquitted, and white people too mad, and there was something in the middle. It's just we're very split on things. Rodney King, the case, we didn't feel like, hey, that it doesn't matter if it's caught on film, right? It doesn't matter if it's seen, you still get away with it, right? And so it's kind of like our first, for my generation, the first time we could see that on film and we could prove it and say it. And it's like, so you look, we were telling you guys we were getting, it's brutality out here. And so we can see it on film. We're like, yes, it's going to be our time. It's finally going to get this thing conviction. And then it comes back and like, no, okay. And so that's when it kind of some of the start to build and whatnot. And so, but from then to now, I guess I'm not naive that for us to get here, right? This is probably arguably the third greatest time in the history of our country that could be some racial progress beyond, something that could be sustainable over time. Like, so there's, the emancipation was the largest, right? And then the civil rights movement in the 60s. And then now after George Floyd, and why after George Floyd, I'm not sure why. But certainly the national and international support is greater than we've ever seen it in my generation, my lifetime. And arguably, it took us 2 presidential assassinations to get here. Like it took people, and it, 3,600 hangings. It took, multiple assassinations of leaders for us to get to this point. And so, and that has happened over the last 400 years. And so now there's such an energy behind it that, yes, I think this is much different than the Rodney King deal, because there's so much support. It is overwhelming, the number, the support. But there are also some folks who have this, heels dug in the sand. But surely that's a great support that we can get some things done. And the young people that are involved are not like me. They spent 8 years of their young lives with an African American president. Right? They've seen that it's not a big deal for them. That was not a part of my thoughts as a young man growing up. Right? I never thought that would happen. But they're like, yeah, it just happens. It's just pretty easy, sir. I mean, 8 years of my life has been spent with an African American president, and so they've seen these things already. And so for them, social media, they can organize, they can put themselves together fast, they can get going, they can take actual steps, and they are not like us who were told or taught to put our hands on the steering wheel and don't speak back to cops, be respectful, don't say anything. No, they push back, and push back in great ways. And now it's caused maybe some violence and some things, but brought some stuff to light. And I get on my young people all the time about having that phone stuck to their hand, but because they have, we've been able to see a lot of these things happen. And so it's different because the young people are different. They are different. I'm an old man compared to these guys, and they only need some guidance from me. They don't really need me to lead them in any way.
Well, I think that you're doing great things, and just from this perspective, I think that it is a wonderful effort, and the Naval Academy, and you should be applauded for doing it. It is one step forward. Hopefully, continue to take multiple steps forward without steps back. Every time I see Blake Bortles get signed as a quarterback instead of Colin Kaepernick, it makes me shake my head. But then when you think about George Floyd and things like that, there are bigger issues around which to organize than just Blake Bortles versus Colin Kaepernick. So RB, thank you for what you're doing.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Phil, got a couple minutes. You got anything, Phil? Are you good? You're muted.
Yeah, Coach, just quickly, over the last 2 years, basically, the term stick to sports has flipped around, and now it's commonplace to see athletes speak out. In your role, what do you believe the role of the athlete can be to the next generation of fans and midshipmen and college athletes coming up?
Yeah, so I mean, athletes has been at the center of racial progress. You know, dating back to Jackie Robinson, Jesse Owens, right? We can always see athletes out front leading because that is the first, that entertainment, right? Platform we were given, and so we use the platforms that we're given and opportunities there. And I think the athlete will continue to be out front. They're the people we see every day. We all love sports here, at least the people on this call. And so as long as we have athletes or sports where African Americans are represented, we'll always have protest and speaking out and lending a voice to. And so that only grows with the athletes and the sports that we love. And so we want to always see those things happen. Whatever platform that we're given to talk. So we don't want to just shut up and dribble. We want to have a voice, stand on our own too, and be a part of the progress.